All right. Welcome, everyone. We're a couple minutes to 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. If you are getting on the call, go ahead and put in the chat where you're coming in from. I'd love to hear where everybody is listening from. We have a great call tonight, so we'll get started in just a couple minutes. But again, as you're coming in, go ahead and put in the chat where you're coming in from. Let's see here. We have Southern California, Toronto. Welcome. Good. We've already got two countries covered. Massachusetts, Connecticut, awesome. San Antonio, Montana, Utah, Seattle, Alberta, Helena. All right. Now we're starting to get people jumping on, ready to go, ready to listen to this awesome call. And we'll get our guest on. I think he's getting on right now. Let me just check real quick if he is on here yet. Not yet, but he'll be on shortly. So again, go ahead and let us know where you're coming in from. And we're going to get this started in just a couple of moments here. Give me just one moment. Let me make sure we have everything set up here. Okay, and I think I'm getting, oh, there's Mr. Victor. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, well, let me go ahead and mute the lines. Just 1 second here.
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Get started. I can hear you, guy. All right, just 1 second. Oh, I've got a... Guy, can I have you mute your line? And I'm trying to mute all of these here. Just 1 second. Okay. All right, welcome everyone. This is the Wednesday webinar. We do this every Wednesday. It's at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time every Wednesday. If this is your first time on, welcome. What we do is every Wednesday, well, we alternate Wednesdays, and one Wednesday we do a product-focused webinar, and then the next Wednesday we do a business-focused webinar. So this week is our business-focused webinar. If you couldn't already tell, I'm usually on the business ones, and then Andrew Mangeris, our chief marketing officer, our chief product officer, is usually on our product Wednesdays. But we're very excited to be here tonight. Just a couple of quick announcements, and then we'll get right into this call. First of all, this is the last Wednesday webinar before Christmas. The next one would actually be, I believe, on Christmas. So we're not going to have a Wednesday webinar on Christmas, and we're not going to have a Wednesday webinar on New Year's Eve either, because I doubt that very many people would be on those. So just a quick note that for the next 2 Wednesdays, we won't have the Wednesday webinars, but they will be back on January 7th. So make sure to mark that down on your calendar. Also, just want to wish everyone, since we won't have a chance, want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays. Hope everyone has a fantastic time with family and friends and reconnecting, but also getting ready to set your goals for the new year. It's a great time to get your business in order, get everything that you want to do for the new year planned out, meet with your upline, meet with your support teams, your accountability partners, and really lay out the plan for 2020, because it's going to be an amazing year. I can tell you, we have, and I won't tell you what day we're announcing this, but it's right near the beginning of the year. We have a few, in fact, 4 major announcements to make for the new year. So we're excited about it. We want you to be ready for it as well. But how you finish this year is how you'll start the next year. So hopefully you guys are going to finish strong. All right, let's get right into this call here. I'm so pleased to be joined by our guest speaker tonight. This is a gentleman who came into Kyani just recently and has already reached the rank of diamond with the company. So it's been a pleasure getting to know him. We met at the very beginning of his journey He came into Idaho Falls just to see who we were. And I think we passed the test, I guess, which is good. But met with myself, Mr. Kirk Hansen. It was a great meeting, something I'll always remember. So it's a pleasure to know this gentleman. I've had a chance to watch his work ethic and the way that he treats his team, and he's just a genuine human being, and he's a very hard worker. So I want to welcome to the call, brand new diamond, Mr. Guy Victor. How are you, Guy?
I'm great. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you. Looks like we got you loud and clear.
Good.
All right. So I didn't mention where you're at. Are you in New York tonight? You're from New York, but are you there tonight? Or are you traveling?
Yeah, I actually just came into New York today. Yep, I'm currently in New York City.
Okay. So Guy's building a big team out east, and we'll get to that. But before we do, Guy, I want to just have everyone meet you and get to know who you are. So do you mind telling them a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background? And we'll start there.
Sure. Originally from New York City, born and raised. I went to school out in Massachusetts, Amherst College. And once I graduated school, I decided to either continue on the path of going to study law and take my LSAT and become an attorney, or I decided maybe I should look at the entrepreneur world, because I had done a little bit of sales and marketing. And when I graduated, unfortunately, my parents weren't too happy with my decision of not being an attorney, but going into business. So that's kind of the route that I took. So for the last 15 years on and off, I've been around network marketing, direct sales, that kind of industry, because I found that that's really the most lucrative industry in the world. I was told that a long time ago, that the highest paid people on earth are business owners and salespeople. So that's really what led me to the path of where we're at here today at Kyani.
Awesome. So let me ask you, you said that you had the option to go down the lawyer path. You didn't take it. Did you get into direct sales or network marketing immediately, or did you do something between then? What was the path there?
Well, when I was in college, I had worked for a company called Cutco Vector Marketing, where, they kind of taught you how to, sell these knives that were, real expensive. But it gave me an opportunity to understand that, the harder I worked, the more successful I became, the more money I made. And I like that, because, I had jobs previously where I was just getting an hourly wage. And I kind of felt that, I worked harder than some other people. Why are we getting paid the same? So that's kind of what I liked about what I was doing then. And I always said to myself, I want to do something that is going to pay me proportionately for the work that I put in. So that's really why I got excited about going into business and, doing this sort of path instead of becoming an attorney.
There you go. Okay. So you said, how many years has it been? 15 years in network marketing?
Yeah, 15 years on and off in network marketing and direct sales. And it's just been a lot of information, a lot of stories, a lot of experiences.
No doubt. And we'll get to the Kyani portion of that. But prior to Kyani, what were some of the lessons you learned in network marketing, whether those were tough lessons to learn or great things? What are some of those lessons that you learned along the way?
One of the toughest lessons that I had to learn was if things weren't going well, I had to look in the mirror. And that's a tough lesson. And I would say to myself, why aren't I where I want to be? Or why isn't my team where I want them to be? And at the end of the day, when my mentors talked to me, they said, you have to take responsibility. This is your business. And I learned a long time ago that you don't need an upline. You just need a downline. You don't need a sideline. You just need a downline. You need a team of people that you're going to work with and you're going to lead. And, that was probably one of the toughest lessons I had to learn, is that if my team or the production of my team is not where it needs to be, there's only one person to blame. It's not the company. It's not the products. It's not my upline. It's not the compensation plan. It's me, because especially if there are other people in the company having success. So that was one of the toughest lessons I had to learn. And it's not an easy one, but once I learned that lesson, I took the bull by the horns, and that's when I started to have a lot of success.
So let's talk about that for a minute. You've had a lot of success. Tell us a little bit about, what you've previously done, what that previous success was prior to Kyani.
I've been with other companies. One of the companies that I worked with was a telecommunications company that I'm sure a lot of people have probably heard of. I remember the first year I was there, I hit a position, and then someone else hit that position, which cut your income from 10 to 15,000 a month to 1,500 a month. And that was like, wow, how did I go from making that much money to this little bit of money? And I remember speaking to my mentors, and I said, well, they said you have to get to the next level. And so I said, okay, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I get to the next level. And I ended up really saying to myself, why aren't my other legs working? And how come you guys aren't helping me? And that's when I realized the lesson of it has to be me. So I went and I learned and I got better and I studied and I went to some conventions and I didn't miss anything and I got better. And that following year, I finished #1 in the world out of 500,000 people, at that position, which was, real exciting because I remember getting the call from, one of the owners of the company saying, hey, you finished #1 out of 500,000 people at the position. And I had told my mentors, once I learn this, once I study this, I'm going to do really well. Don't worry about me. So, as I said, it just took a lot of, learning, understanding, and willing to put the time in because you're just not going to have success waking up one morning and having success. You have to go out and put the work in.
Yeah, great point. Thank you so much. So you've had a lot of success in the industry. You were having a lot of success when we met, but walk us through the story of how you were introduced to Kyani up until when you came to Idaho Falls.
Okay. Well, I had been watching a lot of people because the industry is kind of small. It's a big industry, but a lot of people know a lot of people and a lot of people know each other. And some of the people here at Kyani had come from the previous company that I was in, and I had kind of been watching them. One of them, especially Mr. James Bradford. I was watching his success, and I remember Mr. Francois Rudder reaching out to me year after year after year. And after we had left that previous company, I went to another company. That's really when I got into health and wellness, and I started to understand the importance of health and wellness. But that company was really a startup, hadn't had a lot of success, and the leadership really wasn't there. So when I went there, Mr. Francois Rudder followed Mr. James Bradford to Kyani, and I had kind of been watching their success. And I remember it was just one product at the time. It was just the Sunrise, and that's all they had. But they were having massive success. And but after 3 years or 3.5 years of Mr. Francois Rudder constantly calling me and saying, I think you should take a look. I think you should take a look. It was just not the right time. Then last year, it was the right time. A couple of things that happened in my life, including my mom being diagnosed with cancer, understanding that health and wellness was important. I had gained a lot of weight. I was starting to get unhealthy again myself. And timing wise, financially, things weren't going well for me because I was investing in something called Bitcoin, and it didn't do really well. So I was at a point where it was just the right time. So thank God he was persistent. Thank God he never gave up. Thank God he wasn't pushy, but he would just check in from time to time. And finally I said, I'll speak to some of your senior partners. And he got me on the phone with Mr. James Bradford and Mr. Mark Davenport. And then I met you and Mr. Hansen. And that's really where it all came from. But it was really because of the consistency and the persistency of Mr. Rudder just, never, ever giving up and continually checking in every 3 to 6 months.
Oh, okay. So that was a question I was going to ask, and you mentioned it at the very end. You said that Francois followed up. You said every 3 to 6 months. And what did that look like? Because you said he wasn't too pushy. What was that conversation like when he followed up?
He would basically just, let us know or let me know, hey, how are you doing? How are things going with you? Kind of trying to, poke and prod a little bit to see how things were, letting me know that he was having success and the company was having success, and we really want somebody like you here. We could really do some big things. Just really edifying me, making me feel good as well. And those are the things you have to kind of do when you're trying to get someone to come on your team. You have to let them know that you really genuinely want them there. You want to give them praise. You want to let them know that this can help them as well. And he was just, more just, I think consistent is the best word. But, finally, as I said, it had more to do with the right timing for me. And, anyone on the call here tonight, I want you to understand that a lot of times it has nothing to do with you. It just has to do with the right timing. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. It's just, if it's something they feel they should move forward with at that time. And if not, hey, do you mind if I check back in with you in 3 to 6 months? Maybe things can change.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I love the way that Francois handled it. Took him 3.5 years. Think about that. How many people have the fortitude to follow up with someone for 3.5 years? But it certainly paid off for Francois, for you. And it's been amazing. Now let's talk about the day that you came into Idaho Falls. I want to hear, first you came in with Mr. James Bradford, and I want to hear what you expected from the meeting and what came out of that meeting.
What I expected was to kind of get a feel for Kyani. I've been around the industry for many, many years. The speed of the leader is determined by the speed of the pack. The speed of the pack is determined by the speed of the leader. So I knew Mr. James Bradford was having massive success. I knew Kyani was having massive success all over the world. And I remember that, the U.S. was still really wide open, especially the East Coast where I was from. So when I came into the meeting, I was really just looking to see who corporate was, who the leadership was with Kyani, because you can't get that from a website. You can't get that from, just looking at KyaniScience.com. So I knew that a lot of network marketing companies failed because the leadership of the company and the ownership of the company and the vision of the company weren't all in sync. So one of the things that I was looking for to see is, are these genuine people? Are these people that have a vision? Are these people that care about the team? Are they going to care about the field? And, I was really excited when I got to meet you and Mr. Hansen and a lot of the corporate staff. And I really just felt, this was genuine. Nobody was here to get rich. Nobody was here to step on people. Nobody was here to just, get this company to $1 billion and then sell it and walk into the sunset like 99% of other companies out here. And when I got a chance to sit down with you and Mr. Hansen, I think that meeting was for a couple of hours. Okay. I just got a chance to see, Mr. Hansen's heart. I got a chance to see that he really cared. And I had a chance to see the amount of respect that he had for Mr. James Bradford and Mr. Mark Davenport, because they were hard workers. And I remember he said that, hey, there aren't a lot of people that could get a meeting like this, with us here at corporate, but, based on what, your mentors and your potential leaders have done, that's why you're here. So I was excited to know that I was working with people that, had success, and Kyani as a company had massive success. And, I just felt good about the meeting. Sometimes you just have to go with your heart, with what your gut feeling tells you. And I remember saying to myself, I was actually looking for negatives. And maybe that's not a good thing to do. But I was actually looking for the negative, and I couldn't find any.
Yeah, it was a great meeting. And like I said, I won't forget that meeting because out of that, you pretty much said, I'm ready to go that day. It was a pretty immediate decision, which we were surprised by the way. But you got out and you started to run. And one of the things I want to talk about is sometimes the perception in the field is that if someone comes from another company, they just bring a big team over, and that's how they advance quickly. And that just wasn't the case with you. So talk a little bit about what it took to really build this business. You built it very quickly, but what it took to do that from that decision point?
Well, it took a lot of work because Mr. Francois Rudd is in another country. So I kind of had to do this myself. I was lucky to have Mr. James Bradford come out a couple of times, but 99% of what we did was by ourselves. We used a lot of Zooms. We used a lot of home meetings to get started. We did a lot of different, webinars. We did a lot of three-way calls because, as I said, our immediate uplines weren't here. So I remember having, home meetings with Mr. Jim Karabetsos and Mr. Derek Holston and Miss Monica Del Basti, all the key people that started. And we're just home meeting, and webinar, Zoom, three-way call. And we were able to hit Jade day 1, Pearl day 2. We were able to hit Sapphire day 5, Ruby day 19, and in 57 days we hit Emerald.
Yeah, it was fast and furious. It was impressive. And for some people, they build a lot locally, and it's such a blessing to do so. On the East Coast, if you live on the East Coast or if you travel on the East Coast, it takes a little while to get around. I know we've talked about this a little bit, but when you're doing meetings, I mean, what did that look like going from city to city? Oh, you're on mute, Guy.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
It was tough at first because, we started out with Connecticut, New Jersey, Maryland, Massachusetts, New York City all at once, pretty much. So I was just going from meeting to meeting. We do 5 different states in 5 different days. And we just had like kind of a rotating schedule where we just go around. But it's really tough. If you want to stay local because you don't want to be traveling and having to spend money on hotels. And if you don't have to, especially when you're first starting your business, if you want to stay local and you want to be able to build around where you're at. That's the best advice I'd give anyone starting out. But, it was challenging. It was tough, but, I'm glad I did it because we've changed so many people's lives. So many people have a different life today because of, what Kyani is, what they've done, and me saying yes after 3.5 years. So if I had to do it, I would do it all over again. But as I said, it's been, sometimes it takes 2-3 hours to go 30 miles. That's incredible. But, that's just what it is. Even today, trying to get to, home, I was coming in from Connecticut. It took 4.5 hours to go 128 miles. 4.5 hours sitting in traffic. But, that's the price you have to pay. Everyone has challenges. There's not one market that doesn't have challenges. If you're in California, there might be earthquakes happening. If you're in, Utah, you might have a lot of snow. Like there's challenges every single area. So you just have to deal with whatever challenges that your area has and just make the best out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Now, like you said, every region has its challenges and every region has its benefits as well. So looking at why people are saying yes to Kyani in your region, what are the things that are attracting people to Kyani?
Well, I think the reason that the East Coast is really embracing Kyani is, number one, the opportunity is wide open. You don't see a lot of Kyani cars up and down the East Coast. So people understand that the opportunities here. That's what the East Coast is about. That's what New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maryland, DC, that whole area, Massachusetts, we're very fast-paced people. We're very motivated, business-minded people. People here in New York City are sitting in traffic for hours on hours to get to work, to get back home. The subways are packed. So they are movers and shakers on the East Coast. So, when people see an opportunity, a business opportunity, they understand, hey, I want to get in now. I want to get in where there's an opportunity that long-term my family and I could benefit. So that's why New York and the East Coast really embraces Kyani because of the fact that they love opportunity. B, they can sniff, excuse the word BS, a mile away. And there's no BS in Kyani. Everything is transparent. Everything is open. We're an open book. The founders and the families of the founders are great people. They are successful. There's nothing to talk about. Kyani's documented. And that's what really people like here on the East Coast, because when you're, 13 years old and you've done hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, and there are, $1 billion in commissions paid out, there's no fluff. These are the facts. And if you like what you see, great. If not, we're not looking for everybody. I wish you the best of luck in what you're doing. But out here on the East Coast, people love the opportunity when it comes to making money in business, and they love the fact that Kyani's here to stay. Yeah,
great point. Thank you. Okay, so for the last 5 or 6 minutes, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and then I'm just going to let you talk.
Okay.
So I want to know what the best thing you've done to be successful in network marketing is, the biggest mistake you've made. Well, let's start with the biggest mistake, then the best thing that you've done, and then advice for people who want to be in the position where you're at.
Okay. So first question, biggest mistake I've made in network marketing. When I first started in network marketing, what I did is I took my script that they gave me and I copy and pasted it, and I sent it to like 200 people on Facebook. And that was my pitch. Now, out of 200 people, one person replied, and that person said, "Be careful of things like this. This sounds like a pyramid." And I said, how can I contact 200 people and no one's interested? I didn't understand that you're not supposed to send the script, that you're actually supposed to call people and talk to them. And the worst part is Facebook shut my account down for spamming. So that was my biggest mistake that I've ever made, is I didn't listen, and I tried to do it my own way. I said, why would I call people? I could just send 200 messages to 200 people and I can hit the top level in like a week. But that was not the second thing I would say is probably the biggest mistake was not understanding that the more success I help others, the more success I will get and my team will get, and the faster we'll grow. I used to think it was, okay, how fast can I get to the top? How fast can I get to the top levels? How fast can I get to 6 figures? So once I understood it's not about me, it's about the people that I bring in. I have to have them to have success with A, the products, and B, the business as well. So that's probably one of the biggest lessons I learned, that it's not about you. It's about the people you bring in, because you have a responsibility to them. It's kind of like a child. You can't have a child and then expect that you're not responsible for that child. When you sign somebody up, you have an infant in your hands, and you're responsible for that infant. And if anything happens to that infant, you'll get a knock at your door, and you're going to get in a lot of trouble, because that infant has no ability to take care of itself. That's why you have child services. If you're under 18, as the parent, it's your job to protect them, to teach them, to make sure they become the person that you want them to be, but it's your responsibility. And it's the same thing in network marketing. If you sign somebody up, or if you have people on your team, it's, yes, they have to want it, but at the end of the day, you have to make sure you provide everything you can for them to win. So that's one of the biggest mistakes that I fixed over the years. So that's why, as I said, there are people on my team that I try to make sure from the first month, the first 60 days, I try to get them in a car. Now, it's not always going to happen, but that's my goal. So when we first started, Mr. Jim Carabetsos, Monica De La Bastide, Mr. Jason Clifford, Derek Holston, all these people that we signed up, we got them in cars fast. And that's what kind of it blew everything up because people were winning and they were winning. So that's what I've learned over the years.
Okay, best advice that you could give people who want to be in your position right now within Kyani.
The best advice I'd give anyone that wants to, hit diamond or have success or have a huge team that's doing, great things is you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice to win? I've sacrificed a lot over the last 12 months. And I remember Mr. Nick Nanak told me when he started, for the 20 days that it took him to hit diamond, which is incredible, he barely slept. He missed birthday parties. He missed the funeral of his grandparents. He didn't see his friends for those 20 days. All he did was Kyani from 8, 9, 10 in the morning till 2, 3 in the morning for 20 days. Now that's extreme. I'm not saying anyone has to do that, but that's why he was able to hit diamond in 20 days and then purple diamond in 13 months. So realistically, if you want success in anything in life, you have to sacrifice. And the more success you want, the more sacrifices you're going to have to make. So I'll tell everyone that's listening, if you want to hit double black diamond, whatever position you want, it's going to take sacrifice. And you have to understand that the sacrifice is not forever. The sacrifice is for a season of time. And what you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to sacrifice a little bit now for a great life later? Or if you're not willing to sacrifice now, you're not going to have as great of a life as you could have later. There's one or the other. You can't have both. You can't say, I'm not going to sacrifice and I'm going to have a great life. No, it doesn't work like that. It's one or the other. You either sacrifice now, build your business, and be able to do the things that maybe you have to give up now. And it's not 10 years. It's not 20 years. It's 12 to 24 months of putting your head down and saying, I'm going to do this for me and my family. So the biggest thing is, how much are you willing to sacrifice? How important is your goal? And as long as you're willing to sacrifice, you'll achieve your goal. But you can't get it done without sacrifice.
I love that. And I agree with it wholeheartedly. All right, Mr. Guy Victor, I just want to thank you for being on the call. As we wrap this up, if you want to thank Guy, please put it in the comments over here. Make sure to let him know that you appreciate him. I know that Guy is planning on walking the stage at convention as a blue diamond. Correct, sir?
At least.
I like that
at least
answer.
the blue diamond. And
I like
the
that
goal
answer.
is to get at least 4 or 5 diamonds on my team. And as I said, that's the objective. It's not what I want. My goal is to have 5 new diamonds on my team at the stage, walking the stage.
And I believe that will happen. So it's exciting.
Can I just say one last thing before we leave?
Of course.
I just want everyone to know that, as I said, 15 years on and off in network marketing. And I said this on, I think, the Diamond chat and the Diamond call the other day. This really feels not like a company. It doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel like a network marketing business. This feels like a family. And, it's really a blessing for anyone here that's never been in network marketing, or you have been in network marketing before. It's really a blessing to be part of Kyani. What the Hanson family and the Taylor family have set up for us, knowing that, they've had so much success over the years in other businesses. We know Kyani's going to be here when well past we are here. You know what I mean? For decades and decades and decades and centuries, I know Kyani's going to be here forever. And I'm just honored and blessed to have people like you and Mr. Travis Garza, the Hanson family, the Taylor family. I'm just blessed to have every single person that is part of Kyani doing what they do to help every single one of us achieve our goals. So as I said, I've probably been part of at least 12 different companies over the last 15 years. And Kyani by far has every single thing that you'd possibly want in a company. So thank you very much, sir. And I thank you for having me on the call. And I want to thank you, sir, for doing all you do as well. and happy belated birthday.
Well, thank you so much. And it's an honor to work with you and to work with your team members. You're a high-class individual and you bring high-class individuals to the table. So it's been really fun, and we can't wait to celebrate and to be together soon. We just appreciate you, and we appreciate everyone on this call. We know you've taken time out of your night. We know that this is a sacrifice in itself to get on these calls when you might have kids or getting dinner ready or going to meetings. So we appreciate you. I do believe this is family. This is how that's what we're trying to accomplish. And so I appreciate Mr. Victor saying that, and I certainly appreciate him being on the call. I just want to end this again with saying we wish you all happy holidays, and we hope to see you all very soon. And we'll talk to everybody a little later on. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Mr. Victor.
Thank you, sir.